Eddie Hearn's invasion of America was not quite on a par with that of Colin Welland, who led the Chariots of Fire charge at the 1982 Oscars with his The British Are Coming battle cry, but it was good enough for Daniel "Miracleman" Jacobs. The New York middleweight with a backstory that would have delighted the late British scriptwriter kept his story rolling in the Nassau Veterans Memorial Coliseum in his hometown on Saturday night, comfortably seeing off the quality challenge of the previously unbeaten Luis Arias over 12 rounds that never approached the drama of Jacobs' fight with Gennady Golovkin in the more prestigious Madison Square Garden last March. That performance persuaded Hearn that here was a fighter who had beaten cancer and came close to beating a legend, who would be his passport into the American big time. It might yet prove to be so. After winning, the articulate and likable Jacobs told Max Kellerman in the ring that Hearn is maneuvering him into a long-term rematch with Golovkin, or Saul Canelo Alvarez if the Mexican wins their own return next year. And the route to that payday looks like it could be through Britain's Billy Joe Saunders. Saunders defends his WBO title against the battle-worn but dangerous David Lemieux in the Place Bell, Laval, Canada, on the 16th of December, and Jacobs says, "We're gonna invade Montreal. We're gonna make sure that we're ringside so that those guys see my face and then call them out afterwards. I've already made it clear through social media that I want to fight the both of those guys. One of them would do. Boxing is all about a timetable, and fighting a manageable 3 times a year is what elite performers aim at, because each bout is also a major event, taking months rather than weeks to sell to a pay-per-view audience." He had a great performance against Golovkin, Hearn said of Jacobs ringside on Sky. "Should have been in the ring earlier, but that's okay, he got 12 rounds in the bank. It's so important for a fighter to know the plan, not to come out of the ring and wait 3 months to know when you're fighting next. We're boxing in April. Very, very simple. Probably the weekend before Cinco de Mayo for Golovkin against Canelo. We've already been speaking to the Barclays Center in Brooklyn and HBO. We plan effectively. He can have Christmas with his family, then straight back to the gym." All of which puts Saunders, promoted by Frank Warren, into the frame for negotiations with Hearn's fighter. That should give all of them a few tasty challenges to unravel over the negotiating table. Hearn, meanwhile, is holding the line on Anthony Joshua's 2018 schedule. He wants Joseph Parker in London in March, and should be encouraged by his correspondence with David Higgins, the New Zealander's hard-bargaining promoter. Higgins understands 3-belt champion Joshua is a bigger draw than his WBO title holder, so will accept less than 50%. How much less could be the deal-breaker? And Deontay Wilder is still waving his WBC belt around as if it is the main prize in the heavyweight division, playing his part in the hype by saying Hearn is scared to put his cash cow in the ring with him. Hearn does have reservations, just as he did before Joshua fought Vladimir Klitschko, and says it is his fighter who is keenest to take these risky fights. As a fan, Hearn wants to see Joshua Wilder as a businessman. He wants to see the American first make some money for all of them by sharing a ring with the Londoner Dillian Whyte in February, which Wilder, with some justification, regards as an unnecessary audition for the main event. Nevertheless, it makes good business sense for all of them. Wilder still needs to ramp up his marketing presence in the UK before he shares a ring with Joshua, who has drawn a phenomenal 158,000 fans through the turnstiles in his past 2 appearances. One thing looks locked in: Joshua Wilder will not happen in America, whatever Hearn's ambitions are over there. As he told me after Joshua stopped Carlos Takam in Cardiff, the big money remains in the UK, although long-term the United States will be the place to go. And that is why he signed Jacobs. Taylor made the Tartan Tornado. Josh Taylor continues to live up to his nom de guerre, and his Risk-Andra Award strategy paid off when he stopped the seasoned Mexican Miguel Vazquez in the 9th of 12 rounds for the WBC's Silver Light welterweight title in Edinburgh on Saturday night. Barry McGuigan took an undeniable hit when Carl Frampton left his Cyclone Promotions setup recently, but he has a star of obvious pedigree in the Scottish fighter. Across the promotional landscape, there are British champions and contenders delivering consistently good performances, and the 2 Liams, Smith and Williams, did their best to reprise the drama of their first fight when they met again in Newcastle. However, as Box Nation's John Rawling rightly described it, the rematch was a bit of a chess match, and that is so often the case. When 2 fighters of similar ability sort each other out the first time, they rarely make the same mistakes twice, and that can lead to excess caution. On Saturday night, Smith won again, this time 117,112, 116,112, 114,114. Williams will reckon the drawn verdict was closer to reality than the other scores, and quite a few would agree with him. I thought Smith deserved it. Hay has it all to do. One rematch that should not disappoint is that between Tony Bellew and David Hay, who are relocking horns on the 17th of December at the O2 Arena in London. Bellew is relaxed with what he has achieved, starring in a movie and reproducing his deeds in real life, while Hay, for years the most exciting heavyweight in the division, remains frustratingly short of the defining performance he needs to round out his interesting career. That is a recipe for a great fight.